So I watched all 99 minutes of Donald Trump's speech to Congress last night. And as someone who's neither a Democrat nor a Republican, my one key takeaway from his speech is that to the elected members of the Democrat Party, women's rights and Black lives do not matter unless you are also a member of the Democratic Party. That the second either President Trump or a member of the Republican Party acknowledges you, the Democratic Party is going to wash their hands of you. Because when President Trump introduced the mother and the sister of Laken Riley, the woman in Georgia who was brutally attacked and unalived by somebody who was in the country illegally, Democrats said nothing. They sat there in silence. When he introduced the mother of a 12-year-old girl in Houston who was brutally attacked and unalived, allegedly by two men also in the country illegally, and I say allegedly because their case has not gone to trial yet, they didn't stand. No, nothing. And when he introduced a 13-year-old boy, a 13-year-old Black boy who had brain cancer that doctors gave only months to live, and now several years later, he's able to sit there in front of at a speech in front of all of these elected officials. And then President Trump announces that he's going to be an honorary member of the Secret Service. To my knowledge, only one Democratic member stood up and clapped for him. But y'all are the party of the people. You're supposed to be the party for women's rights. You're supposed to be the party for Black lives. Where were you? Where was that party?
Let me tell you what a party is. The party was being loyal to itself and that the only thing that they care about is themselves. I was wondering if she was going to mention Daniel, DJ Daniel, the 13-year-old cancer survivor, because, it's bad enough that we had Laken Riley and we got the Laken Riley Act now, and that, her daughter, Laken Riley, was brutally murdered by an illegal migrant in this country that had already been on a catch and release and had been granted sanctuary, which obviously I believe in my heart, I believe to my core that this goes all the way up to the top, 100% up to the top. And there's a lot of people that got rich from it, and you can't have this level of silence where the only person that is willing to come forward is New York City Mayor Eric Adams. And the only reason I believe that he came forward is because he was starting to get targeted from the Department of Justice under Biden for things that didn't even really matter or wasn't even resonating and nobody cares about. Nobody even knows why he was being charged with what he was charged with under the Biden administration, because he would not be a good Democrat. And so, when you seen this type of stuff happen, and I actually rewatched it, right? I rewatched almost the whole thing again in its entirety in one fell swoop. I listened to it and then I watched it, right? When you see this and you see the fact that they refused to even acknowledge the people to put aside your differences, because there are supposed to be issues or things that happen where you're supposed to put aside your differences and be able to work with and acknowledge somebody else. We have a broken Democrat Party because they don't even want to adhere to, work with. We've seen the sanctuary cities, in which we're going to review all of that on the Millionaire Morning Show today. We've seen the sanctuary city mayors being grilled by Congress, by Byron Donalds, by Nancy Mace, by all of the different Congress members. And they were so defiant. They were so evil and ugly. And I'm telling you that this party has never been inclusive. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is designed for them to funnel money and for them to money launder. I believe it in my soul. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is nothing but a money laundering scheme. And I hope that Elon Musk blow the top off of that. I hope that Elon Musk, and shout out to her, I'm always going to link back to the content creator because I always like to give credit regardless of whether I agree with her or not. So that link will be down in the description. But Elon Musk, I hope he blows the top off of that. And this is why they hate him so much. And then y'all sit there and say y'all stand with Canada, y'all stand with Mexico, you stand with Ukraine, you stand with anything except for American values, traditional American values. We've gotten so far away from who we are that now a bunch of people are saying that they stand with outsiders above your own. Now that's truly treason. That's truly being a traitor. That's truly living in a country amongst people that are your enemy. Y'all hate Donald Trump so much. You hate America so much. You hate traditional American values so much. You hate masculinity so much. You hate the auditing of the federal government, which we all know should have been done a long time ago. And then people will always say, well, it don't go nowhere. It don't even matter. It doesn't matter. They've been failing audits for years, for decades. Okay, so now you got somebody putting their feet to the fire, and your tax dollars are now being accounted for. And we haven't even gotten 2 months into it, and y'all already disapproving and saying that you don't want to even rock out with Elon Musk. I seen some raging liberals out there on a news story setting fire to Tesla superchargers. If your own is against you, you don't even have to worry about the world. If your own is against you, you don't even have to worry about the world. I automatically started putting two and two together when I realized that I was more conservative, obviously, because when you grow up in a black household, especially in a black community, that's why black women voted for Kamala Harris at a 93% clip, you are expected, required, demanded to vote Democrat, even though your values, your views, the fact that you was raised in a two-parent household, the fact that you are a church member, the fact that you are a Christian, the fact that you don't believe in 98% of everything that they saying, you are demanded to, raised in, and required to vote Democrat. And this is how you know diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a real thing, is that the minute that you have representation in another party that they may not agree with, it no longer becomes about identity. It no longer becomes about representation. It no longer becomes, I want to see one of your own inside of the party. It then becomes divisive and they call you names. And you just got to have a strong backbone, because you can't unsee what you saw, and you can't put the genie back in the bottle from what you know is available on a Democratic plantation. If I escape, why would I go back and be a slave? Y'all a slave to the party that's breaking up your family, that won't even acknowledge that an illegal migrant has destroyed the lives of people. And if y'all see Jasmine Crockett, you see Bernie Sanders, ask them, how come nobody is asking him? That's the question that Kamala Harris tried to dodge the entire time that she was running for president of the United States of America. Ask them, why won't you acknowledge Laken Riley? How come nobody is actually asking that question? How come nobody's asking a question about the fact that they just completely not cared about DJ Daniel? Meanwhile, Jasmine Crockett is making TikToks and Instagram posts about they not like us. Like, that is so corny. That is so corny. But the one thing that I do know, and two things is for certain, is that they already showed their hand and they revealed themselves, and that's why the American people is no longer rocking with the Democratic Party. Too left, too liberal, too evil, and too demonic. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, teach Henley 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Let me know what y'all think.